I know what this looks like, but I promise this isn't it. This isn't an unboxing video, but this is a video about exciting new perennial varieties that are coming out from Walter's Gardens and Proven Winners. I'm going to be trialing these in my Atlanta gardens, but also want to share some tips with you because I've killed some of these perennials and I don't want you to do the same. That's really the whole goal of my channel, is to share the gardening tips that I've learned the hard way over years of gardening so that you have less fails in your garden. Okay, now on to the plants.
I've gotten lucky enough to receive a sample box from Walter's Gardens these last few years, and it's been an absolute delight to be able to trial some new plants and tell you all about it. Walter's Garden sends the same sample box of perennials to gardeners all over the country. Some of these are going to be great for the Southeast, and some of them are going to be more annuals here in this area. I'm never going to discourage you from trying and buying and planting plants, but there are some that I have killed many, many times over. So I'm going to start with those as plants that are probably better if you're in a cooler climate, but if you garden here in the Southeast like me, they are going to be plants that are going to be more challenging to grow. Not impossible, but challenging. Unfortunately, the plant that I'm starting with is also the most beautiful looking plant right now. It is in not full bloom, but mostly full bloom because there are still a number of buds waiting to explode. For me, this is going to be an annual. This is Violets Are Blue. This is likely an amazing perennial if you live in a cooler climate. But here in Atlanta, I have killed many, many, many perennials. And looking at the tag, this is zones 3 through 7. So now that Atlanta is officially zone 8, I'm probably going to kill this again. I love Delphiniums. I've killed them many times. I've planted them anywhere from full sun, just like the tag says, to part sun, just like the tag says, to almost all shade. And no matter where I put them, I kill them. So this one I'm going to enjoy in a container while it lasts. And when it gets hot, that will be the end of it. But it was nice while it lasted. Absolutely don't want to discourage you from trying to plant it, but just know you're going to face some challenges growing this in warmer climates. If you like this look, if you love this bloom, one thing you can do is grow an annual called Larkspur. It's also a cool weather annual, but that means you can sow it in the fall and then enjoy those blooms through early spring. Once temperatures get above 80 degrees, which oftentimes we have very short springs, they will start looking bad, but it's a beautiful cut flower and a great alternative for us warm weather gardeners who cannot grow delphinium successfully. Next, I want to talk about this meadow rue or Thalictrum. This is cotton ball. To me, the foliage or the leaves look a lot like columbine, and I absolutely love the funky, cute shape and texture that it gives. For me, in my garden, columbine is always devoured by leaf miners, so the leaves start looking a little rough throughout the season. But the Thalictrum gets away from the leaf miners for some reason. Like I said, that's just here in my garden. This is a tall, large, and in charge perennial. It's going to get up to 42 inches tall, and it is one that I put in part shade. It says that it can go from full sun to part sun. For some reason, I've always considered this a shade plant, and here in Atlanta, we can get away with planting things that are part sun in shadier spaces. The one that I have in part sun does incredibly well. It's obviously a different variety because this one is newer, but I'm really excited. I might experiment by planting this one in more sun. I think this one might be a native perennial. I can't remember, so don't quote me on it. I'll put it in the bottom if it's not, but it's really, really beautiful. Great early spring bloomer. Lovely texture from the leaves all season long and very reliable. Mine's come back 2 years in a row now. So I give this one a thumbs up for growing in the Southeast. This is one I am super excited to grow. This is Treasured Trove Rudbeckia. And if you're one of these, I don't do Rudbeckia in the garden because they're yellow. I used to kind of think that way, but the flower power of Treasure Trove, at least in the photos that I've seen online, is incredible. And anything that's going to give you that many flowers and colors is going to be gorgeous. Also, another thing I've started to appreciate the longer that I've been gardening is that yellow is almost a neutral in the garden. And the reason that I say that is because it blends beautifully with both hot color themes and cool color themes. I love incorporating yellows in gardens that have bluish hydrangeas and purples, whites. I feel like it's a beautiful balance in those types of beds. But also, It's beautiful if you have a hot color theme, if you have those oranges and reds, yellow blends in great. So because of that, I'm calling it a new neutral. I would love to hear if you're one of these people that avoid yellow in the garden at all costs, or you love to plant it. I used to avoid it, but now I'm really loving it.
Most importantly, and this is one of those, if you know, you know, if you've grown Rudbeckia before and you've ever seen your entire Rudbeckia drift turn black and die, that is called septoria leaf spot. And Rudbeckia is very susceptible to this. But this variety, not only does it have insane flower power, but it is also resistant to that disease, which is good because there's nothing worse than planting a drift and then watching it turn black and die of some horrible disease.
This is a perennial that I'm super excited about. I will definitely be posting an update and you'll see it in a upcoming summer garden tour video because I'm expecting a lot of flower power and I'm super excited about this one. These next two are Nepeta varieties and I am very, very much a Nepeta fan, so I'm excited to try these. This is Lemon Perfection Nepeta, and then this one is Catwalk Queen. I have a few different varieties of Nepeta growing in my garden, and they are just easy, low maintenance plants. I have heard people being nervous about planting Nepeta because they have the nickname cat mint, and I think people associate mints with invasive in the garden, but Nepeta is different. It barely spreads. It does really well. Every time the blooms are done, I cut it back, and a couple of weeks later, they are back in full bloom, and that will continue basically through the fall. So they've been truly wonderful plants in my garden. I will say the first few varieties of Nepeta that I planted, I was really frustrated. I can't remember what variety. One was definitely Walker's Low because that came highly recommended off of social media. But in my garden, it just splayed open constantly, and I don't care for floppy plants. These shorter varieties tend to perform really well for me and don't flop over and don't drive me crazy. And like I said in past videos, these days I'm really focused on plants that don't drive me crazy and bring me more joy than stress. So I'm really excited to try these out, especially this Lemon Perfection. Look at that beautiful chartreuse foliage. One tip that I like to share is that focusing on plants that have really pretty leaves and interesting leaves that might be a different color makes the plant interesting all year long, even when it's not in bloom. So I love varieties like this Lemon Perfection. I also have chartreuse on the loose growing. This yellow is a perfect pop of color, even when the plant is not in bloom. This next one is a new Summerific variety. This is Summerific Garnet Globes. My mother-in-law has already claimed this one. Last year, I got Cookies and Cream, and it is so cute.
There's just something adorable about seeing a cute little 3x3 shrub with giant 7-inch blooms. The Cookies and Cream Summerific Hibiscus, I'm going to try to find a picture and insert it. I planted it the exact same time of year last year, and it grew into a nice little cute mound and had blooms the first year. It has a darker leaf foliage and white blooms. This has these amazing red blooms and then your regular hibiscus leaf foliage. One thing that I think is really neat about hibiscus is that it's a perennial that dies all the way back to the ground, but it grows as large as a shrub. So if you're one of those people that don't like hydrangea because it just looks like sticks in the winter, but you love big blooms, try hibiscus. I know it tends to skew a little bit tropical, and I actually avoided planting it because I was going for cottage garden vibes, not tropical poolside vibes in my garden. But if you're adding a couple of strategic hibiscus to your garden, especially if you're looking for some that are more compact, it's so beautiful in a cottage style garden. And I am a huge fan, even though I thought I never would be. I'm not sure whether to call this tropical vibes or like desert vibes. This next one is a yucca, and I'll be honest, I have absolutely no idea where I would ever plant it. I think they look so cute. They look like little hedgehogs, and I'm a huge hedgehog nut. But one thing that's very important with yuccas is to plant them in well-draining soil. And one thing that I do not have a lot of in my garden is well-draining soil. I'm still heavy clay. If you're new to my channel, I completely leveled our backyard. Our backyard used to slope from one end of the garden all the way to the other end, and it was just one slope. And what we did was we leveled everything out, added a retaining wall to this end, and we created a level space. But what that also did was eliminate any sort of nice soil or topsoil that we had in the garden. And so we are sitting on some very hard clay, and I'm slowly building it up over time. So well draining soil is something I don't really have. What I do
what I do. What I've been doing other than adding compost to spaces and mulch over time is if I'm planting something that needs very well draining soil, I will add a product called Permatil. It is a small gravelly gray rock substrate, and it is a bit more permanent than adding compost or adding, I can't remember, vermiculite. That breaks down over time and it still stays clay from what I found, but Permatil is forever. So that really helps if you are planting something that says well-draining soil. While I don't know where to plant this in my garden, if you garden in a very hot, arid climate that's very dry, Yucca is the perfect thing to plant there because it needs absolutely nothing to thrive. And let's go straight into another plant that likes very well-draining soil, and that is this white diamonds dicentra. I am an absolute dicentra nut. And last year I was sent a pink blooming version of this. One of the great things I love about this is its beautiful silvery gray foliage, and it just has a really great texture. I guess if you haven't picked up on it yet, I do love plants with leaves that have a nice texture or a nice color. The blooms are a bonus, and one of the really cool things about this plant is that it blooms pretty much from spring to fall. So there's always something interesting to see on this dicentra. This does want full sun. This is a native to the United States, and it's also a plant that wants good drainage. Definitely don't do like I did. Last year I planted this in a low spot, and I didn't really notice that it was a low spot until it was too late. This was struggling and croaked, so I didn't get to enjoy those spring through fall blooms that everybody talks about. But I will be smarter this time. I'm gonna put it in a weller draining soil. I'm gonna put it in a spot with better soil, better drainage, and I'm super excited to see how this does. The final perennial. This is Helopsis rain for days. It is a cute little well-branched perennial that is supposed to only grow 24 to 26 inches tall. Helopsis is also known as false sunflower. So if you're not into the yellowy orangey colors, you might not be into this one, but this just looks like a little cute fluffy dwarf zinnia. I'm a huge fan of fluffy blooms, and so I'm really excited to try this one out. I already know exactly where it's going. I have a little patch of trial plants, because one thing that is kind of hard to do is when you only have one of a plant, it can look a little chaotic. So I've got a little section of my garden where I like to put a lot of these trial plants, and while it does look like chaos, it doesn't interrupt the design of my other beds, and it is for science after all, because I have to tell you how these grow, so I think it's worth it. I wanted to share a funny story before I say goodbye. This whole content creation journey is relatively new for me, and before I started down this path, I didn't realize or appreciate, and my husband definitely didn't realize and appreciate the number of new perennials that come out every year. And from his point of view, he does not know the difference between the newer variety and the older variety, and he couldn't care less if this Helopsis has more petals or is more upright than another Helopsis. For him, it's a yellow flower is a yellow flower. And I think it was maybe last year where he realized that the garden is just an ever-changing process, because not only are things growing, they might need to be moved or bumped out as the garden grows, but also there's new fun varieties coming out every year, and it's just so much fun to try them. I have a hard time resisting them. They're just so addictive, and you kind of want to collect them and try them and see for yourself if they're worth the hype or not. So that's me and perennials. I wonder if you're the same way and you also look for the newest perennials and make a list of the things to try if you find them locally or if you're into ordering plants online. Before I close, I always want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for supporting my channel, and I will see you in the next video.